Hi everyone and welcome to Rob Evans 365, day number 369. And today I want to talk to you about focused life choices. Because when it comes to your life and where you are right now, no matter whether you're happy or you're unhappy with where you are, it all has come about by the choices that you've made in life. Now people talk about life balance, which I'm not sure that I really like that because I think there are going to be times in your life where it becomes unbalanced, and I think that's just realistic, isn't it? There'll be some times when you may be particularly busy at work or things that happen in your life that cause things to be tilted from one way to another, away from, say, relationships and family towards work, or towards a particular goal that you're working towards, and other times where it is tilted more towards family and away from those other things that are important in your life, like your family and loved ones and so forth. And I can use a few examples there for me, from my personal experience. Obviously, the period of time, those that have been listening for a while and have heard me talk about this before, but when my dad passed away, there was back when Dad had Alzheimer's, and there was a period of time there where we had to basically take him out of his home, and have him looked after safely. Now, by way of background, Dad lived in Bendigo, which is about 2.5 hours drive from me here. My brother was an hour and a half away, and Mum had passed away a number of years before, so it was just him. And he didn't want to come to Melbourne, he wanted to stay there. So we had to go about finding some accommodation for him. So I was charged with that responsibility, and that took up a lot of my time. Lots of phone calls, lots of driving, lots of travel to and from Melbourne to Bendigo. And then there was the time where we had to get Dad's house ready for sale. Now, both Mum and Dad were hoarders, so there was such an enormous task of cleaning out Dad's house and getting it ready for sale, not just the garden and everything that had become overrun, but just everything else. And I think I worked for about 45 days straight in terms of my normal work, and then I would drive up on a Friday night to Dad's place. I'd work all weekend, I would come back on Sunday and get ready for, Sunday night, and get ready for the next week ahead here, and go back the next week. And it was just constant, 45 days in a row, I think it was, that I was doing that. And I was tired after it, I can tell you. Not just the physical part of it, but the mental strain and so forth. So that meant in some ways I was very tilted towards helping out Dad and that part of the family, but that came at a cost also of not spending as much time with my kids, because they were down here, and Cherie, and I wasn't spending as much time with her either because of her commitments down here. So there were those times where you just have to tilt toward, and then Dad passed away, and again it took me out of my business for about two weeks or so, while I took care of all of that. And that was at a time when I didn't have the staffing in place, and I had to work around it with I had some staffing in place, but not to where it is now. So that came at a cost for me redirecting my energy from business towards the personal side of it. So you get what I'm saying. There are times where you just have to do that. So your life, it goes out of balance. So I think this, people talk about work-life balance. Really, I think it's about work-life choices and what it is that you want to achieve in life, because you can have it all, but it does come down to those choices. And I think it's about making sure that you've got clear communication with those people that are near and dear to you in your heart, so that they know what your mission is, you're on the same page. But you don't sacrifice all for one type of thing. There has to be I guess, compromise in relationships and so forth, so that you can achieve everything is that you want to achieve. You can't always be heading down one path at the expense of I'm going to completely ignore, your family and health and so forth. So why I'm talking about this today is that we're in winter at the moment, and even as I picked up one of the magazines in the supermarket yesterday, those free ones that they give out with showing recipes and that kind of stuff, and they talk about the winter comfort food and the really heavy type meals and the recipes and stuff, and people say, I really love that winter food. I mean, I love my salads all year round, but the point is that people go through this, it's cold, I need to eat this type of food, I'm going to be less active because it's cold and dark outside. And there's this mindset of what we go through in winter, and to then just to have to lose all these extra kilos as it starts to warm up again. And now they're just, to me, silly choices that people make to put them where they are right now, and that's unhappy when it comes to spring. And I think for me, for instance, both of my shoulder operations have been choices that I've made. Very important decisions for me. I mean, I could have not had the surgery. I could have saved about $7,000 by not having the surgery and still being in pain, but being able to go forth and do workouts and be in a bit of pain with my shoulders, but still be able to do them. But my mindset is I want to maximize the use of my body. I've still got things that I want to achieve physically for myself, and I can't do that if my shoulders aren't quite right. And the only way that I was going to know exactly what was wrong with them was to have the surgery. And that was during that surgery that we discovered what the issue was, and it was then fixed. So for me, that was a definite choice that I made to put myself in a much better position so that I was looking at the long-term success of that. Now like the right shoulder was over 2 years ago. My current shoulder that I'm having pain with was 6 months ago. But I know that if I focus on the long term, then I'm going to be in a much better position than I was if I didn't have the surgery. Now, like taking away the shoulder from it, which I'm rehabilitating every single day, and it will get better. I have faith in myself, and I have faith in the surgeon. I have faith in Gemma Physio as well to get my body back to where it needs to be. But I was recording a short video on Instagram TV this morning, and I said that I am in the best health and condition that I have ever been in my life. And I turned 51 this year, but I'm in the shape of my life. And I'm more focused, I think, than I've ever been before. I'm more driven. And to me, that's really exciting. And I'm 51. I get people that come to me that are in their late 20s and early 30s that say, I'm getting old now. So I don't consider myself old. I consider myself as just starting to, embrace life and grab it by the scruff of the neck and get the most out of it. I mean, that's how I see it. I mean, life is a beautiful gift, and I want to maximize every bit of it through every aspect of my life, and that includes making sure that my body is strong. I mean, yesterday, I don't know, I mentioned this yesterday. I can't remember the time I did the podcast yesterday, but yesterday I did a personal best of 250 kilos on the leg press. Never done it before, ever. I think I did mention it. And I managed to do that yesterday, all because I know what drives me. I know what's important. I know what I want to achieve. And I go out there and do it. And I think there's something interesting here. So I'm looking at my studio here right now. And I created this studio so that it was this beautiful place of inspiration for me, because I'm the one that spends the most time in here, not the clients. And I wanted it to be a place where it's like my health and fitness church, if you like. And every wall that I look at, every picture I look at, each word that I look at has a deep meaning to me. So I have one wall across my studio which faces the street, and it's a wall that was blank for a long period of time, like literally nothing on it. I'm like, I want to make that my vision, my dream wall, as to what it is that inspires me and drives me and will do the same for others. So after giving it much thought, I came up with these words that I wanted to have appear on this wall. And it says, "Dreams come true here." And then underneath that was like my little vision statement at the time, which was profoundly improving the health of our nation. And I know I might change that one day. But I mean, that still resonates with me. I mean, that's what I want to do. I guess I want to have more of a global impact now. At the time I put that up there, I was probably limiting my thinking a little. But now I think I would say something like, your success is our priority. But I wanted to focus on the top bit that I said about dreams come true here. Because I think what a lot of people do is they dream, and it remains a dream. Okay, the dream of doing this, the dream of earning this much money, the dream of meeting this person, the dream of, writing a book, the dream of having this body, without actually doing anything about it. Now, dreams don't really drive that sort of action that you need to get to what you want the dream to be. So what I say is that a dream needs to be turned into a vision. And that's what I help people do. But unless you've got a vision, unless you can see it in your mind's eye, then you'll never achieve it. It will always remain a dream for you. And you say, oh, well, I guess I'm too old for that now. I mean, that's rubbish. I mean, dreams need to be turned into reality via having a clear vision and taking huge steps, massive consistent action until you get the goal and outcome that you want. And that is the difference. And all of that comes about by choices. Now, if I look at this wall now, so it was blank for a long period of time, but now when I look at the wall, I have what have we got? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and I've still got more to put up, but there's 24 celebrity photos of me with these high-profile, well-known celebrities. And then I've got some athletes in the middle there that I've got their signed memorabilia. So I've got Arnold. He's one of my, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Since I got into bodybuilding, he was somebody that I followed passionately, and I just love what he stands for. Despite what you may think about his acting or his movies, he's an incredibly brilliant real estate investor, a very, very powerful mind. I mean, you don't get to become governor of California if you're not a smart person. And so then under him, I have Michael Jordan, who, I was never good enough to play basketball. I was always too short to play it. But I loved him as an athlete. I got to see him play only on TV in my era before he retired. And I believe, he's like certainly one of, or if not the greatest basketballer that's ever lived. I know that's subject to debate, but that's just my perspective. Now I've also got a photo of Bruce Lee, series of photos with Bruce Lee actually, and Bruce Lee to me was way ahead of his time. And there was a lot of contention about the way that he died and everything, and maybe with drugs and that in his system. I guess we'll never really know, but He was an incredible athlete. His discipline, like he really changed the way that people train for martial arts back in the the 60s and 70s, and for us to still be talking about it now, and sometimes people have a greater legacy once they have passed away, but he's just an incredible athlete, and the action in his movies were just amazing. And then under him, and I know this one's going to be controversial, but it's Lance Armstrong. And whether you like him or not, I certainly don't condone what he has done. So he's a cyclist, for those of you who don't know who Lance Armstrong is, and won the Tour de France 7 times and a bunch of other things. And he was found guilty back in 2012, I think, of being a drug cheat, and admitted on Oprah's show of taking drugs for every Tour de France win. And the UCI and Tour de France body stripped him of all of his wins. And I don't endorse that at all. As an athlete, I think he was an incredible athlete. He did the wrong thing, but I think he was an incredible athlete. So anyway, they are the people that, along with all those celebrities, that to me, I look at that board, that wall, and each photo has its own story, just like I've told you just there, and each one has a different meaning to me. And I look at the work that has gone into really each one, and what each person, each celebrity I'm standing next to, what they have done for my life. And even though I may have only spent some moments with these celebrities, it's like, wow, the power of those moments and who these people are, and what action did I take to put me in a photo frame next to that person. I think that's incredible. It's all come about from the life choices that I've made. So I've said that 2019 was going to be my year. As I said that late last year, I had gone all in with investing in staff and making sure that I was going to take action every single day to do things like my book, online program, etc., not knowing how to do it, but I just knew that I was going to focus on it every single day, take one step after the other until I got there. And that's what I've done. And then when you get to that end point, you say, okay, so now what? And once you achieve each goal, you say, okay, so what am I going to do now? I feel like I want to step up. And you just keep moving further and further along, like connecting with Kerry Pothast. That only happened because I'd finished the book, because there's no sense in reaching out to her, in my mind, reaching out to someone like that before I've got the product to show them, because they would say, okay, well, can you show me your book? And I say, well, it's not done yet. Or, I can show you the first 6 chapters, but I can't show you the last 3, and it doesn't put it in context of what the whole thing is going to look like. So each part of success leads to that next part of success. So I listened to JT, and he talks about how he got started, and the first celebrity that helped him really evolve with his brand was George Ross. George Ross, Donald Trump's right-hand man for 47 years, and what that did was, when JT was then working, wanting to do business with another person, they would see that, oh wow, he's connected with George Ross. That's really powerful. And then from George Ross, he then connected with celebrities like Al Pacino and Sylvester Stallone, and then Mark Wahlberg. I may be getting the order wrong here. Gene Simmons from Kiss, and then each one of these celebrities said that they enjoyed the experience and they were trying to help someone else out, so then they would contact the next person. I think Steve Wozniak contacted Gene Simmons, and or might have been, I know it's exactly like that. And then one of them maybe contacted Michael Eisner from Disney, and then because Disney had been working with Arnold Schwarzenegger or something, then they hooked JT up with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So each one, oh that's right, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger got Sylvester Stallone to come along, because they had the same agents and all that kind of stuff. So all of these things are so interrelated. They're just so interrelated, and so you just never know what opportunities can come. For instance, I just saw a post that Kerry Pothast had made, and because I'm on like her inner circle now, she'll post something, and then somebody else that might connect, writes a comment, and the one that I just saw was I think it's an ex-Olympic athlete that sent a message to her, to Kerry, and then Kerry responded to that. But because I'm in the group, I get to see it as well. And it's like, well, you just never know how, one thing can lead to another, and before you know it, you're having a tea party with a bunch of ex-Olympians and just talking about their mindset and so forth, which I really love. Or seeing how can, we take this opportunity to something else. So I think all of these things that I have done so far have just come from the focus and from the choices that I've made to put my life in a different position. I mean, I want to be able to achieve so much in my life, and that's only come about by the specific actions that I've taken. And I can tell you that my book that's now finished was a dream, if you like, for about a decade. And then I started to write it. One of my clients said, "Oh, you should write a book." And I said, yeah, I've thought about it. But, there's no money in books, so why would I bother? And then I started writing it, and for about 5 years, nothing happened. I just sort of wrote it a bit, and I thought, every now and then I'll write a little bit. And then I realised that, you know what, you are never going to get this finished at this rate. If you're only going to work on it, for a few pages every couple of weeks when you've got time, you're never going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So instead, I said, I'm going to finish it in 12 weeks. And I thought, wow, you put a deadline on yourself that's really unreasonable, and you watch how things change for you, how much you'll move, how much focus you'll have. And I just did simple things like that. Put an unreasonable deadline of 12 weeks to finish the book. So I think I had 9 chapters to write. And then I did something else radical, which was to go to Bali for the purpose of writing my book. And I wrote 6 chapters over there. I thought I just need to get away from the business, get away from everything, and just focus on writing. And then when I came back, so I hadn't finished it, so that I didn't lose all that momentum, I allocated time in my calendar every single day to make sure that I worked on it. Some days it might only be an hour or half an hour. No, actually, I think the shortest was an hour. And then other days it might be 4 or 5 hours where I had a bigger gap. And on weekends I would write for bigger periods of time. And that's how I ended up getting it done. Because once you start that snowball rolling, you just want to keep it rolling. You just want to keep adding more and more snow to it, make it bigger and bigger, and then it goes down the hill faster and faster, and then before you know it, you've finished what it is that you'd set out to do. And that's where you start to get those life changes, because when you do something huge like that, then you say, wow, I did this, now what can I do? And for me, the next thing was about doing the online program. And the same sort of process. I said that, well, I'm going to work on this every day. Or actually, I didn't say every day. I said I'm going to make sure I work on it every week and make sure that I'm progressing it at least 3 to 4 days out of the week, so that I don't lose the momentum that I've created. And that just edges us closer and closer. So I just picked up the video files last week for the program, and then, I don't know, there's about 130 videos or something. So that's really cool. So we're getting closer and closer. All that's come down to choices. Now, people say, oh, well, that's just really too hard. It's too hard for me to do that. Well, I'm recording this on a Sunday. And it's Sunday afternoon, and I've just told the kids I'm going to take some time out. So we're almost up to 25 minutes, so I'm going to finish in a sec. I'm going to take some time out to do this now, and I'll spend the extra time with them when I've finished. But I get up early still. So yesterday, Saturday, I was up at 4:20 in the morning. so that I could make sure that I did the things that I needed to in the morning to keep moving things forward. Today, I got up early, not as early as that, it was about 7 today, and again, started doing work so that I could start or continue moving things forward, whether it's working on some marketing, working on some videos, whatever it is. But where I want to get to might be different to where you want to get to. And say, I just want to maximize my sleep. But are those life choices, how is that working out for you? The current life choices that you're making, are you completely happy with every area of your life? And I would say, I'm yet to meet somebody that would say, I'm absolutely so stoked with every area of my life. Everybody wants more. Even billionaires, they want something more than they currently have. They're looking to have a greater impact or whatever. Everybody's looking for more because that's how they got to where they are, by having that hunger. Now, I want you to have that hunger too and that focus so that you can achieve more for your life. Because trust me, when you start achieving more than you think you ever could, that's when life changes. And that's when you're like, wow, what have I been doing for most of my life? Why have I been wasting it? Get more out of it. Maximize life. Focused life choices. Are you happy with yours right now? Take a look and see how you can get more out. Talk to you tomorrow.